Well, let's kick the tires and go for a ride. Getting started with Amazon Web Services. When I got started, many, many moons ago, it was from an email forward that somebody sent me, and they said, check it out. I went in, created an account, and looked around. I go, wow, this is a lot of stuff. And I closed it, not even like, wow, that's a big something or another, but I didn't really explore and understand what it was. If somebody would have been there to tell me, hey, Jeremy, guess what you can do with this, and put all these pieces together, there are so many decisions that I would have made differently in all the history leading up to where we are now that, I could have saved a fortune. Blah, blah, like it's all those, vision is 2020 in hindsight, right? That I would have said, wow, there's so much more I could have done. So that's what I want to do for you here. I want to talk about what you need to get started, which is actually a little more than you may think. Understanding Amazon Web Services. What are the core services? And this is what I would really say is the meat of this nugget, to say, here's what you can do with AWS. And then I really want to answer the question, can I do all this for free? I mean, do I have to pay anything to get started? Really? So the short answer to that is yes. You can do a lot of this stuff for free. You can sign up for an account for free. You can really step right into this, but I'm going to talk a lot about what's available for free at the very end, because I want you to understand the services before we say what's available for free. So number one, when you get started with AWS, what you need is a purpose, meaning understanding AWS is one thing, which is great. It's neat to be able to see the services that are there. But one of the things that I know, let me give you this perspective. I have taught Cisco technology for years and years, and Microsoft technology, and Novell technology. I'm a technologist guy. I just love technology. So I've taught all these things, and I get people to learn Cisco, and I'm talking about, oh, this is what a router and a switch does, and a lot of times I've talked to people who have gone out and bought all of this lab equipment for their home to try this stuff out, to learn it, but they buy it without a vision. And they have piles of equipment sitting at their house to test it out, and they look at it every day just collecting dust going, I don't know what I want to do with that. And so it's a little more of a commitment to do that in the Cisco, because you have to buy all the gear. But it's the same feeling with Amazon Web Services. You can sign up for an account and walk into it, and you'll stare at all the tabs and all of the capabilities, and you'll go, wow. Well, here I am. So I really, throughout this series, please hang with me. I want to envision you with purposes. I'm going to create a series of case studies throughout the series of, okay, let's say you want to do this, and somebody wants to create a website, or somebody wants a backup service offsite, all these kind of scenarios, so I can get your mind going to go, oh, okay, I can see why I would use that. Technology for the sake of technology is worthless. You have to have a purpose. So what's your mission? What's your goal? Have a good definition before you start. Second off, you need to have some login information. So you're going to go to the website, and this is what I want to just prepare you for. I mean, it's easy to do. You go, you say, I want an account. By the way, the address is, hey, let me just bring it up. Shoot, my browser over here. The address is just aws.amazon.com. And sure enough, right there, it's, hey, this is AWS, sign up now. This is where you go, create an account for free, only pay for what you use. And it comes in, and this is where you go ahead and create your account. Now, I've already created an account, and what I did was take some snapshots as I was going through that, because there's a couple things that may catch you off guard if you're not ready for them. So this is when you sign up for an account, the first thing it's gonna bounce off of you is, hey, what kind of account information do you want? What's your name? What's your company? The normal stuff that you would expect when you agree to an account. The second thing, and this is the big thing, the second thing it's gonna ask you for is your credit card number. This will cause a lot of people to go, whoa, Nelly, whoa, hey, I'm careful, you're careful, everybody's careful with where they're putting their credit card online, because they go, I don't want to get charged. Well, if you think about it, Amazon is really thinking ahead when they're doing this. If they don't require you to put some, and I'll say this loosely, but put some skin in the game, to where it's like, I'm putting something into this, Amazon would end up with billions of accounts of people just creating them on a whim, signing up for free services, or just, hey, let's just create 50 accounts, that kind of thing, with no commitment at all. Amazon would just have a user database of billions of users, which I'm sure they already have enough of them already. So they do require you to put in a credit card number. They're not going to charge it. I think they authorize I think they tell you we're going to authorize a $1 charge, meaning not charge you, but just send through an authorization to make sure it's a valid credit card with that can be used. And then this is the next thing that may surprise you. After you put in the credit card, they're going to verify your identity by phone. Now this is pretty sweet. When I did this, I was like, hey, this is not too shabby. And sorry, I love you, but I had to cross my telephone number out on there. Yeah, I don't give that out. So I put my telephone number in there. You can even put an extension number, which I did because I have a certain extension at my office, and they dial you up and they say, please type in the PIN number that you see online. You type it in, they go, okay, we've now verified your account. So think about this coming into it. There's really 3 verifications that are happening here. One, they're going to check your email address. They're going to send you a verification email. Actually, that comes at the end, but they will. They're going to ask for a credit card and verify that the credit card is valid. And they're going to ask for a phone number, and they're actually going to call you there and ask for the PIN number. It's really cool because you type in the PIN number, and as you do, your web page refreshes. They must be using some amazing technology like Amazon Web Services or something to run that. But they verify all 3 things. So I want you to go into that eyes wide open. It's free to create an account, but you can't just go in and make stuff up, like we all do on all the websites, like use some spam email address, no credit. They do require some commitment, even though they're not going to charge you. So what else do you need? You need an understanding of the services, which that's going to be the bulk of it. That's where the next slide I'm going to spend most of my time here. And then you're going to need to start working in the AWS Management Console. That's what this looks like over here. This is kind of your dashboard for managing every service in here. Like right up at the top, you can see some of the services that I have. There's Elastic Beanstalk, S3, EC2, Virtual Private Cloud, all these different services that we're going to be discussing in just a moment. But this is how you access all of those services from a GUI. It's not the only way to access it, but I'll say initially this is your primary point of access. Are you ready? Let's get into the meat of this nugget, which is the AWS services, or what I would call the core services. Stuff that everybody needs to at least know about it, know of its existence to get started with AWS. I'm going to start in no particular order other than this is where most people start first, EC2. EC2, and if you're a purist, you're going, they should have called it ECC2. Yeah, I thought that too. But they called it EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud, is where you generate your virtual servers in the cloud. So when I say I want an Ubuntu server accessible from anywhere in the world, or a Windows 2008 R2 server, blah, 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 I would go straight to EC2 and generate what Amazon calls as an instance, an actual virtual server running accessible from anywhere in the world. That's all it is. Now, let's move into the next service, because the next logical question will be, well, where does that server store its data? This actually gets to a bigger discussion. Amazon started everything with simple storage service, or what they call S3. S3 is a very redundant set of storage, meaning it's going to be replicated to at least 2 destinations. So when I store something, let's say you define what's called an S3 bucket. This is just a storage area that's dedicated to you, and I start putting some files in there. I am guaranteed that that's going to be stored not only on one set of hard drives, one set of servers, but at least 2 of them. As I write data to the S3 bucket, store data in the S3 bucket, it's fantastic because it's actually writing it to at least 2 places at once. So let's call this storage destination 1 and storage destination 2, and it won't return a success on my storage request until it's written to both places. Okay, so here's what that means. Let's say I've got let's just go crazy, an MP3 music collection that I want to put in the cloud. So I'm going to copy it to S3, and I've got Bon Jovi .mp3. As I copy that file into the S3 bucket, it's actually saving that file in 2 separate locations, and the file is not considered a successful copy, as in whatever utility I'm using to copy that file to the S3 bucket it's not considered successful until both locations say, "Yep, I've got it." Oh, the amount of redundancy, the amount of warm fuzzy feeling that should give you is massive. But S3, because of that, is a little slow. At least when you compare that to modern hard drives and RAID technology and all the kind of sets. So let me show you how it all started. With Amazon, originally they only had EC2 and S3 storage. So you would create what would be called your instance or AMI. And that would be stored in your S3 bucket. That is the actual image that your server uses. So let's say you've got a Windows 2008 R2 image, which acts as a remote desktop server. So somebody can remote desktop and get a kind of a virtual desktop up there, or fill in whatever use that server is, right? So you store the actual images of it there, but it doesn't run from there. It doesn't run from the S3 bucket because S3 is pretty slow when doing write operations and so on because of its amount of redundancy. So when you would launch that image, Amazon would actually copy that instance from the S3 bucket to what they call ephemeral storage. That's right. This is not even listed on this page as ephemeral storage because in your mind, think of it as like this doesn't really exist. Well, it does, kind of, but let me explain. See, when you've got this image sitting in S3 storage, again, very redundant, very stable storage, but slow when compared to running a server off of it, they say, well, we can't run a server from there, so let's actually copy it to the physical server that's running this virtual instance. Whew, there's a lot of stuff that just came in there. So let me simplify. You've got the bucket, S3, right? That's where your actual image of your server is stored. But we can't run it from there, so it's really slow. So what I do is I copy it to the actual physical server or servers that are running my instance, and they're going to store it locally on whatever their hard drives are. And we'll just think of it as, could be a RAID 5, who knows what it is. It's something that's very fast. It's actually running straight on that server. But now here's the big thing to think about. Ephemeral storage, while it's quick, it's ninja fast, it's not permanent. As soon hear me, let's put this in slow motion. I know some of you put this on like double or triple speed when you're listening. Pull back, stop, go slow motion for this because we want slow motion. If you store something in ephemeral storage and you shut down that machine, it's gone. As in, everything's gone that was in there. So let's say I created a Windows 2008 R2 RDS server, and I made that run. It's now running as an instance on my actual physical server over here. People are remote desktoping in. Somebody goes in and opens a Microsoft Word doc, types "Hello World," and saves that to their desktop, which is literally their desktop is stored on that server. And then all of a sudden I go, well, you know what? I think I'm done. I'm going to go in and shut this server down just for a couple days because I don't need that server. As soon as I shut that server down, bam, it is deleted from the ephemeral storage. And now it's back to its original image, the AMI image that's stored, the original template that I created that from in the S3 bucket. Oh, so there's no permanent storage in the ephemeral storage itself. And that's actually how Amazon started this whole thing. There was no alternative, which I'm going to talk about in just a second, elastic block storage. There was no alternative storage location, as in you had to really think this through. When you're running a server up here in ephemeral storage, it better be storing anything useful back to S3. It better be writing stuff to S3 because otherwise when you shut that server down, it's gone. Let's go back to what I mentioned in the previous nugget, that horizontal scaling, right? Amazon really is all about creating these little workhorses, which are disposable. Bring up these instances as you need them and then shut them down, and they are no more. They don't exist because they write all of their data to this more permanent storage. Well, you can imagine. This bring it up and then poof, it's gone idea just didn't work for a lot of people. They go, I need something a little more permanent, but I need something a little faster than S3, and that's where Amazon came up with Elastic Block Store. Okay, let me clear those notes off. Just getting a little too much there. So Elastic Block Store, EBS, is a more permanent storage location that operates faster than S3 for you to save your machines. So when you shut them down, not everything is lost. Okay, so hang on. Let's regroup. Let's put these, because we've talked about 3 storage locations for your hard drives. Let's put it all together, right? You've got your instance, your virtual machine that you want to run. S3 is used when you initially start that virtual machine. That's where the image resides. The beauty of S3 is in its stability. It's extremely stable, 99.99999% redundancy. Like, you're not going to lose data out there. Well, excuse me. Let me back up. I'm not saying don't back up your data. I'm never saying that. So never misquote me on that. But when you're in S3, there's a 0.00001% chance kind of thing that you would ever lose data from S3 because it's so stable, it's so redundant, but the sacrifice that you get when you use that is it's slow, just because of the way that it's designed. But that's where it always starts from. You've got your image, it's called your AMI, stored on S3. That's the actual hard drive image for this. And when you boot up that machine, when you create a virtual machine from that AMI, from that image, you choose whether you want to store it in one of the other two locations, which is the ephemeral, EPHEMERAL. So someday I'm going to write and it's going to go bloop. Sorry, squiggly red underline. You can't spell it that way. But I'm assuming, I think that's correct. Ephemeral storage, which means it actually takes that AMI from S3, slow storage, and moves it to the physical server. There's a physical server somewhere with very fast storage locally on that server. It copies it right into that server and runs it from there. Beautiful, because this is ninja speed. It's super fast, but what's the problem? You shut down that instance that's running, it's deleted, meaning lose data. See, now my own spelling is haunting me. Is that loose? That's loose, right? Lose, L-O-S-E, lose data when you shut down that machine from ephemeral storage, and it's gone. Or you could choose to run it in EBS. Elastic Block Storage, this guy right here, which is just a small group of servers that will give you, and let me put that right here, EBS gives you decent performance. Now everything that I'm saying is as I'm creating this in the middle of 2012. So there's always going to be performance improvements. There's always going to get better, faster, cheaper, that kind of thing. But it's going to give you decent. And when I mean decent, if I could quantify that, it's like your home PC. You're running storage on your home PC, which runs on a single hard drive, that kind of thing. Now it's more redundant than a single hard drive. It's better. It is redundant, but it's not as redundant as S3. That's why it's not as slow. So it's decent performance, and it's not lost. Let me put not lost when you shut down the machine, and you pay for it. Ephemeral storage, oh yeah, by the way, it's free. It's included with the cost of what you pay for that virtual machine per hour because it's running on that server. When you're not paying extra for storage. When you store it on EBS, Amazon has to maintain that instance when you're done, when you shut down that machine. So you're going to pay money for that storage, just kind of like S3 storage. You pay money for how much you store in S3. Is this all kind of? Do you see how the storage differences work for this? Oh man, I should just stop right there. That's such a huge concept that it's like I want you to just pause and chew on that for a little while. Okay, did you chew on it? Good. So that's how all this fits together. Now, there's so much more I could say about S3. S3 is huge. You can host websites from it. You can, I mean, a lot more to talk about, but when we get, this is just an overview of the services. That's what it is. Just a big old redundant, stable, slow storage spot. and again, everything's relative, right? It's not slow like, wow, that's slow. So let's move on. Let's see what's the next one. I would say next, well, let me go with CloudWatch. CloudWatch is a service allowing you to monitor all of this stuff. There's a lot of different free flavors of CloudWatch to where I can say once every 5 minutes I want to know how much storage is remaining, how much processor utilization I'm running, what's my memory usage, all that kind of thing. It monitors all of this for you. Now, a lot of companies, a lot of organizations are going to say, well, I want a little more frequent monitoring. I want if my storage goes below X percentage, for even a second, I want to know about that. So they start tuning the timers down. The lower you tune your timers, like how often it's checking for those values, the more you're paying for CloudWatch. So again, there's a free tier, which is good monitoring. But if you want to start getting to aggressive monitoring, to where it's phenomenal monitoring, that's where you're going to pay a little bit more. Let's talk about databases. Amazon includes database services. They have Simple Database, which, and I would say this is my prediction. Maybe by the time you hear this, it doesn't exist anymore. Simple Database Services is designed to be relatively small, kind of a slower access, meaning it's you're not really getting super fast access. You're not getting a lot of storage out of there, but it's very very low cost and very simple to set up. The reason I'm predicting that maybe it's not even there by the time you hear this is because it seems like it's starting to disappear from a lot of the documentation. And that tells me, okay, writing's on the wall. Maybe Amazon is saying, I don't think we want that anymore. So DynamoDB is very scalable. I mean, can be huge. Doesn't have limits on the amount of data that you can store in there. You can pay more to guarantee the performance, so you can get ninja speed out of there. It stores a lot of the storage on solid state disks. So when I say ninja speed, I'm talking really fast. It's a great database service, but again, of course, anytime you're talking super ninja speed, you're talking about paying a little bit more. Okay, well let me clear off my notes again, and I'd like to fill in what we've completed so far, just so I don't get redundant of what I'm saying. We've talked about CloudWatch, we've talked about SimpleDB, DynamoDB, EC2, we've talked about simple storage, Elastic Block Service, ephemeral storage, which I didn't list because it's not really a service, it just kind of happens. That's how the instances run. So now let's talk about Route 53. What is Route 53? DNS. That's so you can create name records for your domain. So Amazon will host those and allow you. So let's say I create cbtnuggets.com. That is a domain, and I can host that, and I can point it to Route 53 to manage all of the DNS records for it. So that allows me to create www.amazon.cbtnuggets.com, which goes to XYZ location. It allows me to create maybe s3.cbtnuggets that goes to another server, another location. And so I can create all these different DNS records, and there's a lot to DNS, but Route 53 is just straight on DNS. Virtual private cloud. Whew, this one's killer. Virtual private cloud allows you to control the networking very closely of how EC2 works. So when you create instances, Amazon is so brilliant in how they design it because they configure all the networking for you. They set up a firewall, they give your server an IP address, they map it to a public IP address. I mean, there's usually a lot an administrator has to think about when they're doing that. Well, Amazon does it all for you. They set up the firewall, they set up the routing, they set up all the IP addressing. But for some admins, they might go, it's a little too automagic for me. I want control. I want to control what IP addresses I use for my servers. I don't want Amazon to do that for me. I want to control what public IP addresses map to what private IP addresses. And then, the big one, I want to be able to create a site-to-site VPN to the servers operating in the cloud. This is huge. So this gives you control of the networking, but here's, I would say, the biggest piece of this all. Up here is Amazon AWS services. Down here is your organization. You may say, I want a site-to-site VPN, a permanent connection that is private, encrypted from the servers and the clients running in my businesses, that they would be able to access those servers from behind the scenes. And I mean, you've got the rest of the world coming in from up here, which is all firewalled off. This is my little world right here. Whole world coming in from right here, all firewalled off and restricted and all that. You could create a site-to-site VPN from your business up to the servers at Amazon Web Services, so you can have full private access to those servers, however much access you want to define, so you can host services that way. That really makes Amazon Web Services feel like you own it. This is mine. I have full access to it. I have full control over all of these services, and it's fully accessible to where my business literally merges with the servers that exist up here. That's what virtual private cloud is all about. Man, that's powerful. Okay. Auto-scaling. Auto-scaling is a service that allows Amazon to add instances for you and take them away as you need them. So you can define certain thresholds. Maybe you've got a bunch of instances that are running a website, supporting a website, and I can say, okay, as the load increases to 80% CPU or whatever threshold you want to define for 5 minutes straight, we're maxing out. Let's add another instance or add a couple instances. Or you could define time frames. Well, between this and this hour, I want to make sure I boot up these instances to be available. That's considered auto-scaling. Allows you to grow, allows the system to grow with you as needed. CloudFormation. CloudFormation allows you to define templates of servers. It goes beyond the typical EC2 server. With EC2, I can define my templates. For instance, I can create what's called an AMI, which is literally just an image of a virtual machine. I can create an AMI of my web server, www. I can create an AMI of my database server. I could create an AMI of my, let's say, my Windows server. Again, I could create all these different templates. So when I need to create an instance, maybe for auto scaling, I need to add another web server. It says I'm going to add it based on this template. I can create all kinds of templates in EC2. But with CloudFormation, I can create, get this, a template of templates. So maybe I know to run a site, to run a full-blown a site for my business, I need 2 web servers, a Windows server, and a pair of database servers. Well, I can create that using CloudFormation. So I can say, maybe, remember I was saying Amazon is designed into regions with availability zones and all that. I could say to bring up a full-blown system that includes everything that I need to run my company in a different availability zone or a different region in Amazon Web Services. I've created this CloudFormation template. Now, the cool thing is all kinds of people have created CloudFormation templates that are publicly available. So, and some of them are free. Some of them you can pay for. You can say, hey, I want everything that I need to run a WordPress site, or I want everything that I need to run an e-commerce store, or I want everything. And so you can go out there and people have pre-configured CloudFormation templates to say, okay, well then you need these 3 servers. Yeah, go ahead and click the button and bam, immediately you've got an e-commerce site. So very powerful stuff that you can do with CloudFormation. Identity and access management. IAM is the ability to create credentials, all kinds of different credentials that are used to access your systems. You can have, kind of, I'll say a simpler style S3 bucket name and secret key, kind of like a username password system. You can have a more advanced, public key algorithm system. We're going to talk about these in the future extensively. You can have even token based, where somebody has a little keychain or an iPhone app that generates them a token that they can use to log in for one time only, and then that token expires and can never be used again. So all kinds of ways of managing access to your system. That's IAM. Last one, elastic load balancing. Whew, are you feeling like you're drinking from a fire hose or what? I feel like I'm a fire hose right now because I'm giving you just like the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more that we can talk about with these. But again, this is just an overview so you know what it's capable of doing. That's really the big picture. So elastic load balancing is the ability to bring up these servers. Let's say I've got 4 web servers that I just brought up, and I want to load balance between all of them. That's what elastic load balancing can do for you. So magically, Amazon can create an ELB that says for incoming requests to your website, and I'm using website as generic. It could be to your remote desktop services, to your FTP site, to your blah, 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 fill in the blank. For requests coming in from the world out here, here's the internet, it will hit this elastic load balancer, which can send it to that server, and that server, and that server, and that server. Maybe you do a round robin to where that one, that one, that one. Or maybe you do a percentage where 50% of the requests go here, another 20% go here. You can define how it load balances, but Amazon does that for you with elastic load balancing. Oh, I want to collapse. Man, just that transition from the services, that's just the core services that are available to you. I just want to kind of, I just want to breathe. But can you get the vision of why I wanted to cover those? Now you have enough knowledge to go, wow, that's what I can do with Amazon Web Services, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Wow, now I can sit down and start planning and really thinking through what's capable here. What I can design this to do for me. Okay, now, so the last thing I want to talk about here, because that's, again, we're going to spend the rest of the series really diving deep into each one of those and talking about what's possible. Let's talk about how to do this for free. Really? For free? Yeah, for free. Now I put this is I copied this straight from this URL here, http amazon.com/free, because I wanted to show you this is what's free as in mid 2012, because Amazon's always doing more. As in they didn't even used to allow you to run this for free for a year, but now they really do. So they may even be adding more and more and more and more that you're able to do for free. Amazon is so confident that when you sign up and really start rolling this thing out, that you're going to like it so much you're going to stick with it. So they give you the ability to do almost everything that I talked about on the last slide for free, as in this is what you're able to do. You can run 750 hours of Amazon EC2 micro instances for a year. That's enough to run continuously each month. You know, they put a little star there. It's just saying, hey, you know, talking about running one instances at a micro level, free for now. A micro level, it's slow. I'm not saying that's a mean machine, but it's free. I mean, you can kick the tires. You can do just about anything that you want with this thing for free for a full year. You know, 5 gigabytes of storage. Again, is it a ton? No, it's not, but it's enough to get started. It's enough to run for free. You get Windows licenses for free. Windows, I mean, a Windows Server license, if you were to go, you know, on Google.com and say buy a Windows Server license, I mean, you're talking about thousands of dollars that they're giving you for free to run this thing every single month. So this is powerful. So I want to, you can go through and start exploring this right now. Go sign up for an account, get going. But I want to answer this question. What happens if I go into a paid tier? How does that work? So let's say I'm running my micro instance and I'm like, okay, I want to make this a little more. I want to upgrade that to maybe a large instance so it runs a little bit faster, a lot faster for me using a real server. What happens? Well, immediately you now go into paid services. It's a paid tier to do this, and you're going to be charged hourly for that large instance. Now, I'm not going to throw the rates up there because Amazon has lowered the rates. What is it, like 9 times over the last couple I mean, just an insane amount of time. So check the rates of what that large instance costs you. Maybe it's we'll just say $1 an hour. Right? $1 an hour. So you convert that server to $1 an hour, you're going to be charged $1. So I go in and say run it as a larger, let's say I run it for 10 minutes. I'm going to be charged $1. Even though I didn't use the rest of the 50 minutes. Maybe I used 59 minutes. I'm going to be charged $1. As soon as I go to 61 minutes and I go into the next hour, I'm being charged $2. So the big warning I want to throw out there to you is think this through and make sure that you shut down anything that you're not using. It's very easy to say, okay, well, let's check this out. Let's run a large instance, and you keep it running. You forget about it because you test it. You're like, oh, that's pretty awesome. I like it. You close it. You close down your browser window. That large instance is running behind the scenes. You forget about it, right? Days go by, 2 days, 3 days. So you move from $1 an hour to now, okay, you just ran that for a full day, 24 hours. That's $24. Okay, 2 days. Okay, that's $50. Wow. Okay, yeah, if you're signing up on your personal credit card and you forget about this, that's not good. So you want to make sure that you remember that you are running this. As soon as you go beyond that free charge, the free tier, you are going to be charged for this, and that's something to be very aware of. So please heed my warning with the free. That's why Amazon has you put in your credit card. It's very easy for you to say, well, let's try kicking the tires on a large instance or an extra large instance just to see how this thing really performs. They want to give you that flexibility, but oh man, think that through. If your credit card is on there and you just keep that instance running beyond your testing period, that could end you in a world of hurt. So make sure that we're going to be doing, as we go through the series, a lot of examples, a lot of what I would call labs to set this thing up. Definitely do them with me. Use the free tier as much as you can, but if you want to go beyond, be warned. Don't keep it running. So we have seen in this what you need to get started with Amazon Web Services. Again, signing up for an account, credit card, telephone number, verification calls, verification emails, all the kind of stuff. I went through the meat of this, which was the Amazon Web Services, what I would say core services to get you started. Services that almost everybody would benefit from, but know that there are more of them out there. We'll talk about those again as we continue on through this series. I'll splice them in here and there. And then we talked about what can I do for free really? I mean, what and if you look at it, that last slide, there's a lot that you can do. They give you a ton that you're able to do for free without getting charged. Amazon is that confident in what they're able to provide for you that they're saying, try it out, for a year and see how it works. So a lot that you're able to do. So I would say right now that's enough for you to just sit back and go, okay, let me write this on paper. Let me make sure I really get what we're talking about here. Get into Amazon, get into the management console, and see what that's all about. Start creating instances and looking around to get familiar, and then we'll continue on as we pick up in the next nugget. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.